Hmm. All right, all right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hmm. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues. I'm your host today, Shantae Charles. I want to thank you for your time and for your attention. For some reason, I have my chat disabled by YouTube, which is going to make it hard for me to have conversation today. So, what I'm going to do is um, we'll do our talk back on IG on our Daring Dialogues page there. So let me inform my co-host good morning and let him know. And we're going to get started in our reading in just a moment. All right. Good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. This is your host today, Shantae Charles, and we are yet making our way around all the ways that people try to block speech. I mean, you would think I was some well-known famous person to be going through all of these different changes with programs. But today I am unable to do a chat. Um, unable to bring someone on because YouTube is blocking the feature. So we're going to do our talkback segment. If they are here today, we'll do the talkback segment on IG. If they are not here today, then we will end when I'm done reading. On Fridays, this is Get Free Friday, and we focus on health and we focus on wealth. We're looking at two books to read. The books are Live Nourished, Make Peace with Food, Banish Body Shame, and Reclaim Joy, and Moving Beyond Broke, The Power of Perseverance in Personal Finance. You can find both of these women online. I believe she has a Facebook group. Her name is Dasha Kennedy, and you want to look for The Broke Black Girl. Follow her online. And this is Shanna Spence, and you can follow her online at her Instagram or Facebook account called The Nutrition Tea, TEA. All right, I follow them online. That's how I found out that they were both writing books and releasing books. And then once they released, I went and grabbed my copy to invest and support their work. So we're going to start with Live Nourished today. And this is her chapter entitled We Cannot Be Carbon Copies of Each Other. And I'm reading from the section called Lack of Inclusivity, and just a section today. My stint in fashion, the writer says, gave me an insider's understanding of the industry and how absurd it is that many brands and stores are not size inclusive. Good morning to those of you coming in. 68% of American women wear a size 14 or above. 68%. So when you walk past a store window and you see all of these very thinly framed models wearing clothes that it looks like you cannot get into, and you keep walking past the store, you would think by now that they would put more inclusive size models in their window to draw in customers to say, hey, We have sizes for you. But I can name 3 stores right now that do not do that. And I just look and I just shake my head and I walk right on past because I'm like, my hips are not a size 8 anymore. They not a size 10 anymore. They not a size 12 anymore. I was wearing those kind of sizes. Um, I didn't wear until my mid 20s, but my body as a woman has changed and evolved. But some of these fashion houses have not. Good morning. Good morning. So she says 68% of American women wear a size 14 or above. There is a market available for those sizes. There's an actual market available for those sizes. You will make money because people will buy clothes in those sizes, but they are not as accessible as they should be. Experts in the industry will list a lack of distribution, store size, and qualities as reasons why many stores don't carry more inclusive sizes. Good morning to those of you coming in. However, it still doesn't make sense given the demographic of more than 2/3 of American women in need of more inclusive sizes. And appropriate clothing choices aren't just wants, they are necessities. I've already said hello and good morning. So I'm going to ask you to maybe check your volume. We are reading over here. That's what we do. All right. So if you're not into read alouds in discussions, this is probably not the platform for you. All right. So she says that appropriate clothing choices aren't just wants, they're necessities. I think I happen to agree with that. In Article 25 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, clothing is listed as a standard of living for adequate health and well-being, along with food and housing. Did you all know that? That a part of the Declaration of Human Rights, universal human rights, is not just adequate food and housing, but adequate clothing? Fashion isn't the only area that lacks inclusion. Seating size in America is also a major problem. A content creator shared on social media that she could not fit on the roller coaster at Universal Studios. Sidebar, I don't ever want to fit on a roller coaster again, but that's neither here nor there. She mentioned that not only was the space not accommodating, but she was also humiliated because she was forced to test out the seats in front of other visitors and her children. She shared that even though she is active and healthy, she still couldn't enjoy a day with her family due to this humiliation. This particular story went viral on TikTok, mostly because her story resonated with so many people. So many folks shared humiliating stories of not being able to fit into things like airplane seats or theater seats at movies. Now, I will say, probably one of the places I've seen evolve the most would be movie theaters. The seats are no longer these tiny, thin framed things, right? Some of the seats have gotten wider. Some of the seats recline now. Some of the seats have more arm space. Um, some of the seats recline and fold back, and they have enough space for people to walk through without you having to adjust your seat. Bravo to the movie industry in that regard, because I would say airlines could probably learn a little something from the movie industry when it comes to seats. She says, so many people have shared stories of not being able to fit into airplane seats or theater seats at movies and concerts, having ill fitting equipment at doctors' offices, another area that can stand to evolve, and much more. The world doesn't have to tell you with words that you are unwelcome. It can easily show you. Hashtag, 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 hashtag. Since the 1990s, the width of airplane seats has actually shrunk from 18 inches to about 16 inches. And the distance between seat backs has decreased from 35 inches to sometimes less than 28 inches. So if you've been wondering, if you've flown recently, I've flown fairly recently, and you've been wondering, why do I feel so cramped? Why does it feel like I can feel the person in front of me? I can feel their whole back in my lap. Well, now you know. That is incredibly uncomfortable for many folks, but it is especially concerning when the average man in the United States has a 40.5-inch waist and the average female in the United States has a 38.7-inch waist. As Aubrey Gordon, fat activist and author of What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat, writes, our cultural conversations about flying while fat also reinforce anti-fat judgment. We talk about fat passengers with scorn, insisting that if they don't like it, they can just lose weight. In so doing, we imply that fat people are responsible for the discriminatory policies and not the airlines who wrote them. It's sort of mind boggling, but not surprising, that we spend our time worried about the degree of someone's health based on what their physical body looks like, rather than providing them with basic human needs. Society tells people in larger bodies to get healthy, but at the same time creates a toxic environment that ostracizes and excludes them. Instead of accepting diverse shapes and sizes, we can create we create an environment where everyone is made to feel that they should assimilate and conform. It takes more than body positivity and daily affirmations to stand up to systemic barriers. It actually takes liberation. Now, I was actually thinking on this the other day because I remember when I was thinner, because somebody looking at me today, I don't know, depending on um, your cultural reference or your cultural background, somebody would say, oh, she's gotten really big. But I do know in the African American community, I'm probably more along the lines of still not big enough. I just am not. Um, and so culturally, I think that too plays a part in it. But when I was rail thin, like I'm 5'9", and when most of my life, I was somewhere between 110 and 125 pounds. Um, at that time, people thought that was great, and I don't know why. I'm just saying. Um, I felt like I was too thin, but people were like, "Oh, no, 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 you look fine." I'm like, "No, I look sickly." And so I was always, when I was younger, I was always trying to put on weight. And part of that, when I was thinner, I was really sick a lot. I was sick quite a bit, like regularly not feeling well, like migraines and missing days out of work and stuff like that. Um, when I was in, middle school and high school, I missed quite a bit of school because I was sickly and I had juvenile diabetes. And so as I began to get older and I began to sort of shift the things that I was eating, right? And then, of course, growing into my womanhood, I began to take on some more weight. Now I'm dealing with, and I'm at perimenopause, what I like to call perinetia. And that's a whole other issue with accumulated weight that we have to work through that does not fit these typical diets or whatever, because it's mainly hormone driven. But even in trying to take care of my weight, I I've gone to the doctor and my doctor is like, "You're in great health. All your levels are good. You're not pre anything. You're not, any of the signs of whatever. You're not falling into any of those categories and you're pretty healthy." And I'm just like, "Well, I feel good. I put on weight, but I feel great." I feel great. I don't feel bad. I changed some things in my diet. The migraines went away. And so I think back to that and I'm like, man, when I was so much thinner and more fashionable looking, I didn't feel good in my body a lot of the time. And I was struggling with illnesses quite a bit. And now that I've put on some weight, I don't have those issues anymore. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what in the world is going on here? Because I feel fabulous every day. And that was definitely not my story as a thinner person. I was usually waking up with a headache or something, or not feeling well, and migraines, and not being able to see, and not being able to drive to places because I would get these horrible migraines and I would have to stay in bed, for 1 or 2 days. There were a lot of things I missed out on event wise, um, because I was ill. And my friends who know me, they will tell you, like, yeah, she was ill quite a bit. She had migraines all the time. But now I can't tell you the last time I've had a migraine. Almost probably close to a decade now. And so I think there is, she's a nutrition, she's a dietitian, and I think that there is something to this culturally of trying to fit people into what we perceive as to be a healthier body. And as she has said before, thinner does not mean healthier. We look at people who are thinner and we think, oh, they must be in great shape. But what's going on internally is what we need to be concerned about, not just the aesthetics of looking good. All right. That's what I wanted to say about that today. So if you do not fit the so-called body type aesthetic, but you feel great in your body, you're taking care of yourself, you're eating right, you're getting your nutrients in, you're drinking your water, you're minding your business, that's part of being healthy. If you're doing those things, you're getting your checkup, you're, testing out, your mineral levels, your hormone levels, all of those things, and you're feeling great in your body, appreciate that. Take a moment to celebrate that. Because again, there are people who look the part. They look aesthetically like whatever everybody says they should look like, but they're going through some serious health problems. Now, good morning. I have been through health problems with fibroids, not a fun thing. And I remember, I think it was, who is it, Lupita Nyong'o? I think she recently came out to talk about how she was, going through that and in pain and had to have surgery. But nobody really knew that looking at her. Nobody knew she was like suffering through those things. And the same here. When I was thinner, nobody really knew that that was an issue. But when I had a major surgery, that surgery put me out of being able to do anything for like 6 weeks. And I had to stop and reflect and say, what is happening with my body? What's going on with my body? What are some things I need to change? Some of it was, hereditary, but some of it was also some diet things, some things that I was consuming and eating too much of that I needed to change. And looking at me from the outside, I looked healthy. I was leading, a dance team and teaching young people dance during that time. And so when I had to sit it out for 6 weeks, people were like, what do you mean? But I took the time to allow myself to go through the process of healing and the process of recovery. And I didn't allow anybody to rush me through that to get back to things, right? And in that process of taking care of myself, I got a chance to see how people felt about me taking care of myself. And you will see that too. When you start making changes about your body, about your health, about what things you need to engage in activity wise, people will do one of two things. They will either applaud you and support you in your growth, in your development. Some will even join you and say, hey, how can I be of support to you? Or they'll do the other thing. They'll sort of back away. They might not like the you that's coming forward. They might not like the you that has to say, no, I can't engage in this. They might not like the you that says, no, I'm not going to eat that anymore because every time I visit with you, these are the things that you want to offer me and you're not willing to adjust. So I can't eat that. People might pull away from your decision to take care of yourself in a more holistic way, which is why one of the things that I say often that I had to learn that has now become a mantra for me is treat you sacred. We often talk about treating spaces sacred, right? We often talk about treating buildings sacred, but what about you? What about your body? What about your mind? What about your temple and what you're feeding it and what you're allowing people to feed you? So I want you to think about that today. What does it mean for me to treat myself sacred? What has to go in order for me to treat myself sacred? Who am I engaging with that doesn't treat me sacred? Not just good or kind, those are nice. But when people treat you sacred, like they honor you, like they respect you, like they care about what you think and how you feel, it's a whole different environment. It's a whole different feeling that you get from someone who recognizes that you are a sacred being. That's how I like to treat my friends. Um, I see each one of them as sacred. I see each one of them as having something unique to bring to this life. And I don't want to take that for granted. So think about that today. Are you treating yourself sacred? What are you doing to treat yourself sacred? Who is in your life? And when you are with those persons, do you feel like you're being treated sacred? Or do you feel like you're being treated like you can be tossed out on the trash heap at any moment? Two different kinds of feeling. All right. We're looking at Moving Beyond Broke. She is talking about money looks better in the bank. This is her chapter on savings. And the last time we read, she was talking about her mother trying to teach her about dreaming big and thinking small. In other words, saving in small increments so that she could build wealth over time. And we're just continuing that conversation. And this is her section entitled, To Be Fair, We Were Both Right. And then she has a section called Dreaming Big is for Everyone. And we're going to try to get to that section before we close out. To be fair, we were both right. I didn't understand the significance of my mother's wisdom about saving money until I was in my 30s. But I have to be fair to 16-year-old Dasha. She wasn't entirely wrong. Part of my struggle to connect with my mom's advice was that the reason she suggested I save didn't mean anything to me yet. It wasn't my big dream because I had no clue what a rainy day could be. I really didn't understand the concept because financial challenges were normal for me. And if I happened to have a rainy day in the future, I believed my parents would be my umbrella. And since the big dream wasn't personally motivating to me, the small act of saving $20 didn't seem worth it. It felt like too much to give up $20 of my tiny paycheck that I was busting my butt to earn when my teenage lifestyle had so many more important expenses. I'm not blaming my mom for suggesting I save for a rainy day. She was right. I just wish I'd seen the bigger picture behind her advice. Incremental saving is the secret to achieving your money goals. I just needed to see how it could help me achieve my goals. $20 a week for 5 years would have been 5,200 in the bank when I turned 21. That could have given me the financial stability to put down a payment on a vehicle. Even $20 a week after 1 year would have been $1,040. That's a huge sum of money for a 17-year-old. I could have taken a nice vacation with my friends to celebrate graduating high school, or used it to put down a security deposit, on my first apartment. Saving $20 per week wouldn't have felt so painful or insignificant if I'd taken the time to do the math and then attached the numbers to my own big dream. It's easy to dismiss a teen whose main concern is having enough cash for the movies and some sneakers. But the truth is, my childhood resistance to saving captured something people can struggle with at any age. When income is limited and expenses are overwhelming, saving can seem impossible. Now, I shared one of her incremental breakdown posts recently onto my Facebook page, and she was breaking down, I think, from $100 all the way to, I think, $5,000, how much you would need to save a week, a month, a week, and a day in order to save up that much money for the year. So she broke it down even to the person who said, I really have barely any money. And she said, try saving $100 in the year. And I think it broke down to like $2.10 or $2.20 a day for that person to save the $100. Do you not have people come on my post wanting to fuss about that? I said, now wait a minute. Wait. I have been unhoused in my life. I have lost just about everything. I had to have a short sale on my home at one point. My car got repossessed at one point. This was all in the same period. Car repossessed in another state, trying to find work, which was incredibly hard because I was in another state, in a small town. Everybody knew each other. And if you didn't go back 6 generations, nobody really wanted to give you a job. Terrible place to be in. But eventually I get a job. And in this job, I'm making under minimum wage, which at the time I didn't realize I was making under minimum wage because I hadn't been making minimum wage for years when all of this went down. But I was making, I think, 25 cents under minimum wage at the time. And so I was making like $7 an hour. $7 an hour. Um, we were living in someone's basement, renting a room in their basement. So I know what it's like to be at the bottom and not have money and somebody having the nerve to tell me I need to save. I get it. I get it. Even in all of that, I was still able to at least put a dollar or two aside a week. Okay. So when someone tells you, try to save $2.20, and you are fussing with them about saving $2.20, that's not on your financial advisor. That's not on your financial planner. That means that there is something that you are not willing to sacrifice in the moment in order to get out of where you are. And so we had to make lots of sacrifices for like 4 years to get out of where we were. Lots. There were lots of things we couldn't do. There was events we couldn't partake in. There was places we couldn't go. There was absolutely no thought of drinking a cup of Starbucks. Like, what? Definitely was eating not so good. Definitely. Because my dinner, I think I ate maybe once or twice a day. And my dinner was a $1 meal. This was when I don't know, they still have them, the TV dinners, where you could buy them for like 99 cents. And I had $5. That was my budget for dinner, just about $5. So, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least I can get through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I understand this idea, this notion of I barely have enough to get by. But I'm going to tell you, even in that barely having enough to get by, I still had to say, I got to at least put $1 aside because I have got to get out of this. We have got to get out of this. And very few people were trying to actually help us. Some people were like, ah, ah, ah. Yeah, they were happy that we were down. So when you're in that situation, you can't think that somebody is going to come and rescue you. You got to say, if nobody comes, I got to get out of this. Okay? When income is limited and expenses are overwhelming, saving can seem impossible. This is especially true when you're already working hard to stretch every dollar. Tucking away $20 for a potential future problem doesn't make sense when you need that money for something very real right now. As a teen with adult level responsibilities, I was fiercely protective of those extra few dollars that helped me enjoy some carefree time with my friends. My paycheck was so small, and there was so much I wanted to do in the present that it felt there wasn't anything left to dream big with. That kind of planning just wasn't for me, not when I had so little money to work with. In retrospect, I'm glad I was wrong. Dreaming big is for everyone, and thinking small is one of the most powerful and underrated ways to get there. Now, more than a decade later, I leverage dreaming big and acting small all the time. I recently set up a joint high yield savings account with my sister with automatic weekly payments from both of us. These small payments don't take away from our regular financial responsibilities, but will still have enough to cover the expenses for one trip together every year. Now, Cash App, I think, just introduced this kind of feature where you can actually make a group on Cash App. Everybody can contribute money to whatever event it is, whether you guys are going on a trip or whatever, and it makes collecting money for big events or even small events a super easy way to do it so that everybody can contribute and then everybody's ready for the trip. So I think about people who plan things like family cruises, family reunions, travel trips, all that kind of stuff. Cash App has already set it up for you now that you can actually do that and pay incrementally. So it's not one person having to be responsible for collecting everybody's money. You can make a group on Cash App and everybody can contribute as they go along, which is pretty cool. We've been joking, she says, about wishing we could be roommates again, but this will do. It's our little rebellion against the regular routine of our lives and a fun sisterly pact that makes us both excited about saving small amounts over the entire year. Talking about savings usually sounds so serious, but it can also be about building up a fund for something that'll give you a little piece of happiness, a break from your regular routine, and beautiful memories, especially if you're sharing the dream with someone you adore. Last section, dreaming big is for everyone. Everyone deserves to dream big. I will say it again and a little louder in case you thought I wasn't talking to you. Everyone deserves to dream big. If you're reading this at a time in your life when money is tight and savings feels impossible, this message is especially for you. And let me be clear, dreaming big doesn't have to look like a Range Rover in your driveway or a Birkin bag on your arm. Actually, it rarely looks like that. Dreaming big is as simple as having the financial security of knowing you can afford something that is important to you. Don't let the size of your goal intimidate you into inaction. Incremental saving will eventually get you to achieve that big financial goal. It doesn't look like it at first, but I promise this approach works. Sometimes people get so focused on the idea that they're not doing enough that they end up not doing anything at all. If you're discouraged because you can't save $1,000 right away, remember to break it down into saving $20 50 times. Taking small steps over time can lead to big achievements. This approach doesn't just make the end goal seem more attainable, it can also work wonders for your stress levels. I'm less likely to feel overwhelmed and able to create small savings victories along the way, which keeps me motivated. I've been guiding myself through this journey with manageable steps rather than a single intimidating leap, and I haven't missed with this method yet. Now, I will say, when was it? About 2 years ago, I received a letter in the mail from a place that I used to work at in Virginia when I was doing more than just ministry over there. Now we just primarily do ministry. But when I was working in Virginia, um, apparently there was a retirement account that was not properly closed out. So I got a letter saying, hey, you've got, this balance in here, and you can either keep it in here, but you can't add any more money to it and it'll grow at our rate, or you can take it out and put it somewhere else. Well, first of all, I was shouting hallelujah because as rough as a time as I had in Virginia, I was like, woo, thank you for some retirement funds. So I took it out of the Virginia retirement system and I opened up a 12-month CD, and I put the money in there, and they said, well, you have the option where you can move the money or you can pull money out one time without a penalty. And I was like, well, I don't want to pull anything out. I just want to see what it does. So now I got a letter saying, hey, the time is coming up on your maturing of your CD. You can either keep the money in, all of the money, but you do qualify for a higher interest rate return. So you can keep the money in there, or you can take this window of time where you can pull money out without a penalty, or you can pull a certain amount out and then leave the balance and restart your CD, either, re-up it for another 12 months where you just let the money grow, or 36 months. I think it goes all the way up to 36 months. So it's like 12 months, 18 months, 36 months. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take some out. I'm going to put it in another. I'm going to put it in another account, and I'm going to let the rest grow. But that was just one of those kind of like, oh, I got some money. What do you do with that money? Right? Initially, I could have said, okay, I'm going to cash this out and I'm going to spend it. And I'm going to go on me a nice little trip and enjoy it. But rather than do that, I said, no, I don't know what's coming in this country. This country is off its rails. Nobody knows where this country is eventually going. So let me go ahead and hold on to it for a year and see what it does. So I want you to start thinking about that. How can I get to that $1,000 mark? Maybe you're not at the $1,000 savings mark yet. How can I get to the $500 mark? Maybe you're not there yet. How can I get to saving $100? If you're the person that it feels like every time you get money, it just flies away and you're just wondering, where's my money going? I need you to start with $100. Can you hold on to $100? My grandmother used to say this all the time. She used to say, Shantae, there's two kind of relatives in our family. She was like, there's some of us that know how to save money, as she said, for a rainy day. There's some of us that hold on to a little bit at a time and accumulate it. And my grandmother came from the generation of money in your mattress, money in your bra, money in your shoebox. Okay, that's that generation. And then she said, there's some of us that it feels like money is burning a hole in our pocket, and we have to get it out of our pocket and spend it. And she told me, she said, you have to decide what part of our family legacy you're going to be a part of. Are you going to be a part of the family legacy that knows how to hold on to money? Or are you going to be a part of the family legacy where it feels like there's a hole burning in your pocket and you can't wait to put the fire out by spending the money? And that little piece of a nugget of advice, that little piece of family wisdom, that little piece of understanding, okay, I've seen what happens to the family members that can't hold money, and I've seen what happens to the family members that can save money. Which direction do I want my life to go? Do I want my life to be the person that is always like this, saying, I know I had the money, but I don't have it anymore and I need some more? Or do I want to be on the other side of that equation, making the decisions about whether or not I'm going to be distributing the money? So, again, let your goal be, if I can't get to the 1,000, can I get to 500? If I feel like I can't get to 500 right now, can I get to $100? All right. We're going to try that out for the month of October. See if you can get to your financial goal. Give yourself the 31 days, break it down into how much money do I need to be putting aside every week, and break that down to how much money should I be putting aside every day. Think about something that you could be giving up within that 30-day period that you spend money on often, and put that money to the side. So for me, when I started saying, okay, I know I've got to put some more money to the side, I thought about, how many times do I go and buy coffee? Sometimes I was going every single day. Then I looked at, okay, how much am I spending on the coffee buys for the week? And I was like, that's a lot of money. I'm just being honest. $35 to $40 a week on coffee, that's a lot of money, right? So if I'm spending $40 a week on coffee times 4 weeks, that's $160. That's almost $200 right there just on coffee. So can I go without going out to buy coffee for a month? If I needed to save that, I could. I could get instant coffee. I could go buy me some hot chocolate, right? I can make adjustments where I need to, still enjoy what I enjoy, but just pocket that money. So when I started doing that and I started realizing, wait a minute, I can slow down some of this. I can pull money from these frivolous or extra things that I'm partaking in. And I can discipline myself to do it for a month if I need to, in order to put more money aside, right? So I want you to think about that. What are some practical things, practical ways that you can adjust your budget? We're not talking about necessities. We're talking about the things that we kind of frivolously spend money on, that we don't realize how much it's accumulating. Maybe it's you're eating out less during the week and you're cooking your food and packing it for your lunches versus eating out every single day for your lunch break. Think about how you can cut back so that you can save. because either way, it's still your money. You're just deciding whether you're going to keep it or whether you're going to spend it. All right. Let's see if I can bring you on. Pastor Ben, I saw you in the comments, and I'm going to see if I can bring you on. This has been really weird. I'm going to try and see if it's going to let me add you. If it doesn't let me add you, you all can join us on IG. My Instagram is at Daring Dialogues. It's all one word. And we'll have our talk back over on Instagram today. Okay. But let me try it here first. All right. So I tried it. It's not working. I'm not sure what YouTube is doing again by removing my ability to chat with people on this platform, but we'll deal with that later. Again, we're going to head now to Instagram. So give me 1 minute to set up camera. We'll be over there on our Instagram page at Daring Dialogues. I will not be on Monday and Tuesday of next week. I'm taking a station break. I was supposed to take one September 9th through the 13th. I don't know what happened in my schedule. I think I know what happened. Oh, that was that was that week. I was supposed to go on break that week. I have a little calendar where I do my schedule. But see where it says break? I was supposed to take a break then. But that was when all of the CK stuff happened, and I didn't break. So now I have to take a station break. So next week we will return on Wednesday. We'll pick back up, and our season ends on our 50th episode. Today is episode 37, and then when we come back, we'll be on episode 38. All right. Now we're heading over to Instagram. If I don't see you or you don't catch us on the talk back, I want to thank you for your time and attention. This has been an episode of Daring Dialogues, and I've been your host today, Shantae Charles. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness, so continue to go out and be light. Take care.